What's going on, pursuers? Welcome to the Pursuit of Calling podcast, where my goal and purpose is to provide you with the tools needed to successfully discover and pursue your God-given calling. I'm your host, Thomas Carney, and today's episode we're talking about going from pain to purpose. For those who don't know, I have a condition called muscular dystonia. And essentially, I'm in pain every day, and my brain tells my muscles to do things they're not supposed to. That's the gist of it. And the reason I'm making this episode is because I want to share my testimony more around this journey of exponential growth that I've been on, despite the circumstances. Actually, because of the circumstances, if I'm being completely honest. So this episode isn't just for people with physical pain, even though it is. It's also for people dealing with constant psychological pain. Because mental pain, mental or physical pain, a lot of the time when it is as severe as chronic as what I have, it causes a lot of psychological issues. So I want you, before we get any further into this episode, I want you to send this episode to that person maybe that you thought of whenever I was talking about physical or mental pain. Maybe you're not a person that is in this pain. I still want you to listen to this episode. If you're not in that part of your life, I still want you to listen to this episode because this will be benefit to you as well. However, that person that you thought of who is in constant physical pain or constant psychological pain, I want you to send them this episode. And maybe you have to listen to the whole thing to make sure it's any good, and that's fine. If you already know me and know my podcast and trust me enough, I want you to just send it to them right now. Because I know my story, my testimony, and what I'm going to be talking about in this episode will at least plant a seed in them to be able to get out of the valley that they're in. So, and I know there's people out there in my position. I know there's people out there, though, that have also lost hope. That's who this is really for. I know there's people out there that have lost hope, and thinking about those people breaks my heart because I've talked to some people like that. I've read stories from people like that with specifically with people with muscular dystonia, and it breaks my heart. It breaks me. So I just wanted to make this episode to hopefully reach some more people and plant some more seeds and help some people realize the calling that is on their lives, regardless of their circumstances. So, just to give a little bit more context around my experience, my pain, it started in my hands for a few years. It essentially like a writer's cramp, and then it spread to my arms, shoulders, and now essentially it's my whole body, my legs, my face, even essentially all the muscles in my head. Whenever I eat, like talking right now, I can feel the muscles in my head kind of tightening up. But I still want to do this podcast. I still want to keep this podcast going because I know it's part of a way that I can reach people, because I still have my voice to be able to reach those who I've been called to reach and those I've been called to serve. And sorry, I just going through my notes. I'm like, man, that was I can't wait to talk about that. But don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I've spent a lot of time, money, and resources trying to figure out. First, it was trying to figure out what was wrong, and then it was now that we have a name for it, muscular dystonia. It's how do I get relief, or how do I get better? And I mean, there's no known cure for this condition, but I believe in God. I believe He's a healer, so I believe God can heal me, and I also believe that there has to be something out. I believe that there has to be something. So I'm just going to keep looking. Honestly, I'm just going to keep looking, keep talking to doctors. But I've spent a lot of time and money, and I plan to spend a lot more. But I understand, though, I've had a lot of doctors tell me that first it was, I don't know what's wrong with you. Let me send you to this doctor. And then it was, okay, I know what's wrong with you, but there's not much we can really do except make you comfortable. Here's some meds, which is like, that's what that's where they're trained to do. And like, it's not saying, I'm not trying to demonize doctors. Like, they do a lot of good work and they're really nice. And, but I just don't think they're fully equipped, if I'm being honest, for something like this. I feel like there's, and maybe you felt this too. If now you're listening to it and you're a person in my position, maybe you felt this too. Maybe you've experienced this same kind of trajectory of spending a lot of money, being told you don't know what's wrong with you, and then feeling a shame that you get whenever realize you can't do the things that other people can do, things that you used to be able to do. Sorry, I am. This is a real one. So whenever I lost my train of thought, but those things that you used to be able to do, and you feel the shame whenever you tell people that you can't do something, and they ask you why, and then they don't understand, right? It's all part of this journey, and you learn how to explain it. You learn how to explain it quickly to people. Kind of just tell people I have a muscular condition. I kind of have a bum body, but like, I keep my spirits up. I've had experiences like after phone calls with doctors, even where I've been on the floor in the fetal position, and I'd be crying out to God. I'd be like, "Why me? Why haven't you healed me yet? Like, how would a good God actually allow this to happen?" And the answer to all of these questions all relate to the same thing: my calling. So, as time went on and my condition progressed, I realized I had a new sort of vigor to grow. It became and I wanted to become the healthiest and best man that I can possibly be. I can't work out as much, but I can eat right and do the things to fuel my body, to do what it needs to do to keep me healthy. And the pain at the time, it feels like my enemy. It feels like the pain tells me, like, just to be lazy, to sit down and do nothing. And because that's what I really feel like doing a lot of the time. I feel like just not doing anything, because that not doing anything sometimes means I'm not in pain. Because every little thing, everything physical hurts in some sort of way. And like, it's really tempting to just be like, I'm just done. I'm just going to watch TV all day. I'm not going to do anything. I'll live off. I'll figure out how I can live off the government. But I refuse to do that. I'm a mover. I constantly have to be doing something, and like, I'm really bad at resting. To be honest, I've always been bad at that, but I've been working on getting better at that because of my condition. But yeah, I always have to be doing something. So instead, I applied something I heard from Craig Rochelle on his podcast the other day, where he said my pain is my friend, and he was talking about a different kind of pain, but the pain is, I decided to apply it to my life. Essentially, my pain is my friend. I think about that as it's fuel for the fire. I believe God is using this pain. He hasn't taken it away because of how much I've grown he hasn't taken it away because of how much I've grown as a result of it, because he knows I continue to grow as long as I continue to grow at an exponential rate. And there's already been an overflow. There's already been an overflow for how much I've grown, the books I'm reading, how I overflowed into my podcast, into the people that I talk with every day, into my coaching, And there's only going to be more of an overflow as time goes on, as I continue to grow. And like, that's like the pain, that's like the pain is fuel for the fire. The pain is like, I can't just, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do in 2 years. Let's be real. I feel like I'm jumping around, but like, it's fuel for the fire, because I was talking with somebody the other day. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do in 2 years from now, 3-4 years from now. So I need to do what I need to do. I need to grow now. And I don't have many. I need to grow now. I need to learn these things now. I need to get all these things set up for my business now, and learn these skills now. I don't know what I'll be able to do later. I'll have my brain, but what will my body be able to do? I don't know. So let's do it now. That's why I mean it's fuel for the fire. It's fuel to grow. It's fuel for exponential growth. Now I can hear you saying, I can hear it already, like, that's great for you, but that's not my story. I can hear you saying, I'm in pain every day and I'm miserable. And I hear you. I know that's like, I've already said I've been there. I've been mad every day at people for not understanding my struggles, and for not trying to. I've been mad at God for not healing me, and I've questioned him as to why he would allow this to continue to happen. This is going to sound harsh, but this is the honest to God truth. Misery is a choice. When you decide to let the pain run your life, you are allowing yourself to be held captive by it. The great news about that, though, is that the fact that it's a choice means you don't actually have to stay there. The great news is that there's a calling on your life, regardless of your circumstances. You're not called to be in pain. You're not called to live in misery. You are called to something so great that honestly you can't even imagine what it is, but I want you to try. I don't want you to think the call is just something that comes out of nowhere. That's something that God just comes out and says, hey, Thomas, this is exactly what you're going to do. This is exactly what your calling is. He didn't come down and tell me, hey, Thomas, you're here to provide people with tools they need to successfully pursue their God-given calling, to discover and pursue. And I had to discover that on my own. And the call is something that you discover. And I've talked about that a lot on previous episodes of the podcast. And if you haven't already, I really want you to go to thepursuitofcalling.com and sign up to get the Discover Your Calling Planning Guide, so that you can start to understand what the calling is that is on your life. So, I've said it before, your calling is unique to you, and this is regardless of your circumstance. You have gifts, the things that are intuitive to you, the things that you understand that others don't seem to. You seem to understand it so quickly, and you don't understand why other people don't. And I'd argue that some of those things are a result of the struggles that you go through every day. I call you a pursuer every time I start an episode, and every time I end it, because I believe you are, even if you don't. I believe that you are a pursuer. You just have to unlock that part of yourself. The drive of a pursuer lives inside of you. You just need to put fuel on the fire. The call on you. I want you to sit down and just think about what you're good at. I want you to think about what you can do, even if you can't do everything else everybody else can do. There is a calling on your life. I believe that calling comes from God. I want you to figure out how to pursue your calling well. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, I know maybe I sound a little bit more somber, but I really enjoy talking about this, because it really helps me to figure out how I can it helps me share my testimony, and the more I do it, the better I get at it. So, I really appreciate you listening to this whole episode. If you like this episode, share it out on social media. You can share it on Instagram, Facebook, X, wherever you listen, and wherever you use social media. If you haven't shared this episode with that person already that you were thinking about before, that you've been thinking about this whole time that you've been listening to this episode, I want you to send it to them now. And I want you to tell them why you're sending it to them. And if you haven't already, go ahead to thepursuitofcalling.com and down there, download the guide and leave a comment on Spotify, leave a 5-star review, all the things. All right, guys. See you later, pursuers.